Welcome to Content Callout Episode 3. Today's topic is on Critical Drinker. Now, we're doing a different style of this from here on out. The previous two ones, one's the reason this whole, series exists. Second one's one that I'm just kind of disappointed with. I've been fans of them for years, and seeing them fall off kind of hurt a little bit. But now we're getting into people I haven't been watching for years, and either subscribers of mine or me venturing around and having, the algorithm pop stuff up for me and brought to my attention. So, a little backstory on the research of this. I watched about 15 videos of the Critical Drinkers, 10 of which I have details on each specific part that I want to bring up, as well as an overview at the end. And I will refer to the ones that I watched. It's, I believe, the third point to bring up actually refers to the other 5 videos I watched. So let's jump right into it. So in the Acolyte is the focus of the first video. It was his coverage of the trailer. I didn't write that name down. I got a lot better with that on the rest of them, but he points out that there was no white male in the whole group of Padawans. And so what? Why is it such a big deal? Isn't this normally the position that I'm having against there being representation? Like, why was it a big deal to change them? Isn't that normally the position that I see definitely in a lot of the commentary you add into your videos? So it's just kind of weird seeing the moment they don't have a single white person in there, you're making a complaint, and that's where your video starts. But other than that, even if you don't mean it in that kind of derogatory way, it don't sound good. You pointed out that a lot of Star Wars being in a peaceful time, it's like, well, there's a good bit of episode 1 that wasn't an act of war. Actually, most of it, I think all of it. You can't say that the little battle on Naboo was anything more than just a battle. Wasn't a full-scale war, not until the end of episode 2. And definitely by the episode 3, continuing, it actually ended. War stopped for a while before episode, I think 5 is when war picks back up. So technically there's a lot of peacetime in there, so that's nothing new. And there had to be a time of peace for there to be a time where they fell. Hence the Old Republic, or the High Republic, I think is what we're focused on. Let's see. Oh yeah, when there's one line in the trailer where someone says, this isn't about good or evil, it's about power. Well, he says, oh yeah, it's no longer about good or evil from a series that's always been about good or evil. But if you remember what Yoda said about wanting power, he said the path to the dark side is through the desire for power. Now, in a time where everyone is just enveloped in the light side of the Force, someone wouldn't be thinking about it as something like good or evil. They would be thinking about it as power, lust, love, pride, something like that. Almost as one of the deadly sins, effectively. So that's kind of just a misunderstanding of the source material here. Even Lucas himself said it's more about emotion than it is which side of technique you're learning. And it's not necessarily different techniques as much as what emotion you're using to empower or channel it. I do have to agree with him about the director chick. I haven't seen much of her talking where it's actually about the series or what she's doing. And the part where she admits to not having experience and just finding a way to talk her way in. I mean, look, when DEI stuff does that, I'm okay, fine. But just claiming DEI like you do it a lot, cut that out. It gets you a lot of fans, but at the end of the day, being honest is going to do me a lot better than continuing to be dishonest like you're doing. Well, yeah, it talks about George Lucas selling his soul and, you know, backing Disney. And it's like, since when did everyone forget that he was a far left, you know, political activist? Like, he's backing him because that's his political position already. Like, you might be going, oh, well, they're putting nothing but women in charge and putting an agenda out there. It's like, yeah, and in the cases where you're right, he backs it because that's his thing. He's fine with that. But basically in the Acolyte trailer review, he brings no evidence to his wild claims in some cases. Lots of mental gymnastics to pull off why some of this matters. Trash talks Star Wars in general, Disney, this series, and tells you not to watch it, which, you know, when people say, look how many people aren't watching these other series, it's like, yeah, y'all have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers, depending on which one episode of Content Callout we're on. Y'all tell people actively, stop watching this stuff, stop supporting it, and then go, see, nobody's watching it. This is why y'all shouldn't watch it. Like, be careful of the lawsuit, dude. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, next video that I watched was Death of the Girl Boss. But to mention the one where I was like, claims, sorry, where was this? Oh, I guess that one that I was telling you refers to other videos. It's on a later one. It wasn't Star Wars. It's Marvel related. But Death of the Girl Boss. Oh, here it is. All MCU projects he mentions in this video are after the rise of the anti-fan. And for those of you who don't know what an anti-fan is, let me go over it real quick. An anti-fan is someone who's going to watch it, who's going to pay attention, but find any way they can to trash talk it, convince others not to go see it, and basically do the opposite of what a fan would do in every regard, except they're actually watching it. Hence how they know so much about the products to be able to say something about it. And none of his claims against those projects and other videos were true. He brings no evidence to them, makes wild claims, and has no backing to any of it. And that's a trend you're going to notice, as I began to notice after I was on the third video. He equivalates no male lead or co-lead as pandering to a female audience with some of these female lead shows like Echo, She-Hulk, and other things like that. And just as a note on She-Hulk real quick, the big complaint is that he says that she's just being a girl boss and she's right about everything. Yet the problem is, if you watch the series, you'll realize she's wrong about everything. She was just throwing in Hulk's face like she knows better. She knows how to deal with all this. It's not going to be a problem. And on every single account, throughout every episode, she was wrong. And to sit there and claim that the entire series was just making her look good really is missing the point of the series. She was proven wrong on every account. She had to adapt and evolve and become a bigger person for all of this to start working out. And that's what Hulk was trying to tell her from the beginning. If she would have just listened to Bruce, she would have been fine. But she didn't. And that's why most of the series happened. So if you really think about it, yeah, there's some things that were messed up about that series, but the claim it was utter trash and it was just a feminist agenda is like, since when is She-Hulk ever really for the guys necessarily? Wasn't that an attempt to have a character for the girls? So like, if you weren't a fan of it in the comics, shut up. Stop judging a series that you've never been a fan of anyways. So why would you like it anyways? You know, I'm not going to praise Captain America because his movies did well. I'm not really a fan of Captain America. It's, you know, more of his style of movie has been like, hey, let me go watch Lethal Weapon. I'll enjoy that kind of concept of the bro, you know, cop movie thing much better. But yeah, let's get back to this. In no way, shape, or form is that pandering to a female audience or a female agenda or feminist agenda. to have a female lead. Like, look, man, come on. No one said this about Jessica Jones, and she legitimately was a girl boss. She sidelined this vet who actually had combat training, specific training, actually, that would have helped with the current mission that they were on. She sidelines everybody in the series. Hell, the second series would have been literally a third as long if she wouldn't have sidelined and pushed everyone away. She's literally the definition of it, but you don't hear anything about that. Yeah, he says good writing would make a female lead okay, but literally has videos about the Marvel, She-Hulk, and Echo before release, already calling them woke, claiming the MCU, feminist agenda, and it's like, how do you know? If it's not even been released, how are you making videos claiming that this is woke trash? Like, you're actually, anyone who pays attention has got to notice that you're literally spouting bullshit and making shit up. Because how else can you tell me about a movie that even those people that get to see it on premiere night or the first 2 episodes early, how are you telling me they get to see it and you've seen it before them? Like, come on, I've watched enough of your stuff. You don't claim any sources or nothing. So either come out with it or basically admit that you're making shit up because you haven't seen these projects until then. And when they come out to be good, you never say anything except you just go, oh, see, I was right. No, it's obvious you haven't watched most of this stuff, especially with the Death of the Girl Boss video. I mean, that was really trash. Like, if you write your own stuff, sober up before you write them. Sober up before you watch it and review it. How about that as a good thing to mention? Yeah, you claim girl boss, and basically throughout the whole video, you never gave any examples or evidence from any of the shows that you mentioned. You just trash talked the entire time. Like, basically, your video had no evidence, wild claims, trash talk, and effectively was just clickbait. It was pretty embarrassing, actually. But now let's go on to the Deadpool and Wolverine. Will it save or destroy Marvel? Question mark. I will have all the titles of this in the description, below the main description. TVA and Deadpool 3 is a good idea, and he acts like it's stupid because no one probably saw it. And wait, it's literally one of the #1 rated things that has come out on Disney Plus. Since this saga, this is one of the #1, if not the #1 rated project of the entire multiverse saga. Like, are you kidding me? You being disgusted about the TVA, can you stop covering Marvel? Like, what do you mean? It's a, I think was the sound you made to the TVA? Like, that's the Time Variance Authority, son. That's from the comics. Don't argue with this. Like, stop. It makes you look really, really bad, not understanding the source material to the point of being offended that in a Marvel cinematic connected universe that the TVA, since it exists, is going to impact other time-traveling stories. That the multiverse thing is a big deal to be appearing in the multiverse saga. Like, that would be like being annoyed that another one of the Infinity Stones showed up in a movie in the Infinity Saga. I mean, come on. We barely had anything building up Thanos. You know, besides the Infinity Stones showing up, Thanos specifically was like, what? 1 scene? No, 2 scenes and 2 post-credit scenes. And then Infinity War and Endgame. I mean, if you want to count the ending scene where his ship shows up at the end of Ragnarok, okay, but that's still just a post-credit scene. We've had Kang in a whole movie. We've had multiple post-credit scenes. We've had our first post-credit scene of a movie lead directly into a TV series. We've had a whole damn series, 2 seasons, focused on him. I mean, we've already got more than Thanos ever had by, like, literally tens of minutes worth of time more than we ever had with Thanos before the first movie appeared in Infinity War. So, like, no, the TVA showing up makes a lot of sense. But yeah, basically out the thing, he did talk trash about the MCU, repeats his anti-fan rhetoric, but was pretty honest about Deadpool 3. He seems excited for it, so, at least there's that. If it's a project he's okay with, and he seems to be fine with, and there's male leads, he seems to be fine with it. So, in that regard, there was some honesty. The Marvels, the absolute state of the MCU. Man, I couldn't handle it. When he called the Bengals random bullshit Bengals, I'm like, man, do you not understand? I don't know which ones they're picking. It's like the quantum bands, and there's this other name for the bands. And it's one of those sets. I'm just saying, that means there's another hero out there that's going to happen when they get the Bengals, because, they're talking about continuing to evolve Miss Marvel to where she's going to be more like her comic accurate self. These Bengals were just a diversion that activated her stuff, because she's, as we've seen in the Marvels, she's got half Inhuman, and she's also been called like a mutant in her own series. So she's probably that half mutant, half Inhuman thing that they're doing in the comics currently. So, I'm pretty interested in that. I want to see where they're going. But, the Marvels was random bullshit Bengals, man. That's a way to out yourself on not knowing anything about the comics. All three characters, he just blatantly insults their characters and ignores their comic history. Look, man, that movie could have been better. It could have been done way better, even. I'm willing to admit that it could have been way better. But to say it was Thor too bad? No, that's just making shit up. You're just talking trash for the sake of it, and because of views and clicks, not because it's honest. The problem with universe destroying holes in the universe is a part of this saga. You have to be ignoring so much of this saga's plot and connections, and granted, everyone's missing the pieces of the puzzle, it's, because they're not shiny magic stones. The fact that it takes a little more thought and, kind of putting a puzzle together and looking and finding the pieces before you can even begin putting it together. And I thought that was really cool. They're trusting the audience to be smart enough, but then, damn, nobody caught it. So, what does that say? But, we talked about how, they flashed back and forth and would switch locations. But again, if he had watched all of this stuff, and specifically the Miss Marvel TV series, he would understand her Bengals are actually affecting space and time. And that's actually what hard light is that it's creating light when it does this, and then it's stopping it and controlling it in controlled space. So that's how she's making shapes and doing different things like that. But it's affecting space and time. So she's already traveled through time. So the idea of it switching with things got entangled through her because something happened at the same time actually makes a lot of sense. You're either that drunk when watching this stuff, or you're just making shit up. And I don't know which one it is. I haven't watched you for years like I have some other people. Okay, the point about Kamala learning about Captain Marvel's history and seeing her and Monica argue about leaving her and not coming back, that's a good point. That would have brought up the maturity of that movie a lot. And 100% agree with you. As well as the whole thing of we did not need Disney being Disney and having a sing and dance scene. We could have done something totally different, made that a lot quicker, and added just more of the villain doing her thing. 100% on point with you. But basically on everything that you were against, you did not provide examples, no evidence, you just trash talk about the movie and the MCU. I feel like you ignore a lot or did not watch the things that you're ignoring the stuff from as an option. Espoused your anti-fan rhetoric and pretty much created clickbait. So nothing very interesting there, but let's move on to Guardians of the Galaxy, the best of the worst. You know, early in the video, he talks about the humor has gotten like stale or I'm not stale. It was like they changed the humor, and it's like no, they didn't change the humor. They did what they didn't do was evolve it. It's still the same humor. They just might have done a little more of it. So maybe doubling down on it wasn't a good idea. Like everyone says, Thor 4 sucked, but Thor 3 was awesome. But it's pretty much very much a very similar movie, and yet all they did was double down a little more on the humor, and that wasn't a good idea. But let's just admit that the reason Thor 3 was good was because Thor 2 sucked. Comparing Adam Warlock to Captain Marvel again shows his lack of Marvel knowledge. He does not understand the source material. So people who are subscribed to him are basically accepting Marvel knowledge about the comics from someone who's not even able to know someone like Adam Warlock and what makes him different in power levels, what his powers are. I mean, come on. I know not everyone has this, but that doesn't mean that you can't look stuff up at least. Seems like he does a lot more research for the videos than I do, and I'm bringing a lot more facts to the table. Oh yeah, he just randomly manages to insult the Mandalorian series in the middle of this, and that seemed kind of random, but that happened. He doesn't, like when he talked about how this movie gave an excuse for James Gunn to have anthropomorphic animals running around on a planet, it's like, what do you mean gave him an excuse to do it? Like, are you saying he made that up? Because like New Earth and those type of people running around, that's a thing from the comics. If so, my guy, again, you're outing yourself on not understanding some of this source material, and it's really not good. Oh, he said that this is the same Gamora time period that we met, and it's like, no, that's not true. The Gamora we meet originally in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 was like 5 to 7 years, I believe, ahead of the one that comes into the time travel stuff during Endgame. So no, these are not the same ones. She went through a lot more running around with Thanos and then figuring stuff out before she ever came through. Met up with the Guardians. So these are not the same ones. And that's a real easy one to go check out. That's not good that you missed that one. The uniforms are from the comics, my guy. You know, at this point, I actually wrote down, like, people must sub to you for the shit talk, and because it can't be because you're being honest. Like, people would be calling you out on that. Instead, they're just outright supporting you in the comments, and you're just spouting bullshit. Like, what do you mean, like, gave it away for these stupid costumes? It's like, they eventually get there. Have you not noticed that his uniform seems very similar to one of Nova's costumes? Yeah, you don't notice the world building because, I mean, homie, maybe lay off a little bit. And, you know, basically this video of his was a bunch of trash talk at a movie in the MCU. No evidence again, baseless claims again, anti-fan rhetoric again. But was seemingly honest about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like, you know, there's some things I could quibble with, but not like, those are more opinionated. They're not actually like facts about the movie, and that's what I'm here for. So the next video is Antman will make you hate movies. But by 1 and 33 minutes in, I knew he wasn't gonna be honest. I should have wrote down what it was, but I go off on everything. This one even continues on to the next page. But, you know, the thing about Ant-Man's daughter inventing stuff, he basically says that there's no reason she should be like a super genius or something. And it's like, hold up. She's been around Hope and Hank and learning this stuff. It's been a few years. So, yeah, she's definitely had the time to be able to be, studying and learning up on this. So, yeah, saying that there's no way that there's any possibility of her being able to do that, and it's just like, oh, she's instantly a genius because she's a girl, and like, what? You sound like you have a problem with women, but I'm gonna hold that back. I don't actually think you do. It's just starting to sound like it. But yeah, the way you described the quantum realm was basically being pointless and stupid, and like, why was that the setting instead of like the first two movies and how they handled things? It's like, it's actually called the microverse from the comics. They did change that up, but no, homie, it's a thing from the comics. They didn't make that up. Like, maybe you should cover content that you actually are aware of, or at least do the research so people like me can't tell that you're making shit up. Oh yeah, he doesn't understand Kang's mind control tech because he brought up how when Janet was pushing the battery in, how all of a sudden she connected in and could see stuff from his memories, and how that didn't make sense. But, neurologically connected tech can tap into anyone's neurological stuff, even if they're close enough, its potential. And that's been in a lot of different sci-fi. That's also how some people, I believe in the comics, have gotten a hold of some of his plans, looking at it that way. So do keep in mind, homie, you just continuously outing yourself in this one just to trash talk this movie. MODOK always looked goofy and weird. I'm actually tired of hearing people complain about, like, well, MODOK looks stupid. I'm like, MODOK's always looked stupid. It looked goofy. Yeah, he's always looked goofy. It's ugly. Yeah, he's always looked ugly. Like, I don't understand. You only make him ugly, goofy, or like, it's gonna look bad. It's a giant head with miniature arms and legs and a floating goddamn chair with a big gem on his forehead. It's not gonna look great. So like, using that as a complaint is just like, come on. It's really annoying hearing that. Where he says nothing happened and everything went back to normal. It's like, well, hold up. First off, let's talk about some of the basic things that we all realize. Like, King Dynasty is aware that he's dead. You also have Kang's no longer in charge down there, and so everyone's free. And if they're following the comic line of things, we didn't see that Kang die. We saw him go into a place that's going to rip and split open his personality, and because of his power set, could make him Prime Kang, which makes him the one that's going to transfer to a different Kang's head every time you kill him. Means he's the most dangerous form. And we got to see him at his weakest. So this should be interesting if they follow that path. But saying nothing happened is even ignoring the fact that now people are aware of King. That Ant-Man actually might have ended in a variant timeline. That movie showed fundamental evidence, as well as the opening to the last episode of season 1 of Loki, that we have a dual sacred timeline going on. That there's more to how he defeated the Kings than He Who Remains has admitted in season 2. So, yeah, now there's a lot more to this, and it's just like you're judging it like individual products when it's a connected universe, and you seem to have a definite, obvious lack of Marvel understanding from actually the history and lore of comic stuff and other histories. So you're not really helping yourself. It's amazing you got this many subscribers. I will say that. Congratulations on that. Basically, though, trash talk to the MCU and the movie, anti-fan rhetoric, outright lies on this one. Like the ants defeated Kang. It's ignoring a whole ass army and more than that. Several superpowered individuals. And you didn't bring up evidence and pretty much outright made up shit. So, let's go. Star Wars is a dead franchise. Okay, I gotta give you props. The ride of polar bear in the battle, that got me. I had to pause and laugh that one out. That was good. But, you know, you really just spent till 10 minutes in trash talking Star Wars in general. You know, you insult Mando Season 1. He says Luke showing up makes no sense. Like, wait, hold up. Do you remember watching the series? Do you remember the part where Mando brought Grogu to go find Ahsoka? Because that's the Jedi he was told to go find. Do you remember what she told him to go do? To bring Grogu to this other planet, go find a stone up on this mountain, let him meditate and do his thing on it, and he will reach out there to a potential master if one still exists, and they are willing to teach him. Saying it makes no sense is saying that connection couldn't possibly have been made through the thing that, according to the story and plot, was designed for that purpose. So, again, did you just not watch stuff? Or are you just watching reviews, actually, now that I think about it? Like, are you just watching other people make reviews and do horrible anti-fan takes and then just repeating it? Because that'd be pretty bad, dude. But it's starting to kind of seem like something's wrong. Ahsoka. Bad writing, pandering, and wasted potential. Okay, so not even 1 minute in, he already proves he doesn't understand Thrawn. Like, the whole point of Thrawn's plans not working was to make Ahsoka think she's winning so that she would go a certain particular direction and would stay out of his way so that he could have time to finish loading up all those caskets. Well, think they're caskets, but they could have just been cases of stuff. Onto the ship and be able to leave. Like, he even got to control when he left to the point of being able to make a threat and final statement to Ahsoka before he left. That's not stupid. That's not incapable. That's mastership of strategy. He understood the teacher of her, so he understood partially how she thought and actually succeeded. You do remember mentioning that was his goal the whole time, right? Now, granted, I ain't gonna argue him having a podcast was kind of weird, but having the same guy that spoke and that voiced his animated version play the live action version, like, come on, man, that was awesome. You complaining about the Rebels characters being present is kind of stupid. It's called continuity and continuing character arcs and storylines. And also giving credence to some of the more popular stuff from Star Wars, especially in the animated sections. Why could the witches not control the animals? Because that's not one of their things. That's a Jedi thing, homie. And, you know, why didn't Ahsoka? Because their ship got damaged. Like, did you forget that? Did you forget their ship got damaged? Because that's why they can't. But trust me, as soon as they fix their ship, they will be able to get on a well and head the other way. And it's like nobody learns or grows in Ahsoka. It's like, wait, what? Like, are you serious? Okay, so let me point out some subtle stuff. So, I don't remember their names, but I remember Balin. Balin's lightsaber was orange, and so was the girl that was with him. The first thing you see him pop up on the Jedi, well, not the Republic place. Hers was orange too, but every time she drew her lightsaber again, it progressively got darker and more red, where Balin stayed orange. This was a very subtle detail, but showing her fall into actually one side or the other. Now, Sabine had to give up her mentality of thinking she's always able to do it right. She's able to do it alone, and so did Ahsoka. Both of them had to learn to grow to work together, and that was shown throughout the series. To say they didn't grow, come on. Showing the connections of people, like, you know, they just saved her, as you said, like, helped her do war crimes. It's like, not really. She kind of might have broke the law, but you do realize who Leia Organa is, right? You didn't even mention her in that scene. Actually, you just mentioned the person up on the judges group or senators group. But yeah, she's in charge of that. So tough shit. Stop leaving out very important details. If lying and manipulating makes for bad writing, that's a lot of Star Wars. Like, do you realize that the rebellion had to do that to even get formed? The way that Palpatine took over and took down the Republic originally was through that. Like, so much of Star Wars is about lying and manipulation. It obviously doesn't make for bad writing. So saying that's where this series went with stuff like the courtroom scenes, that's just stupid. So basically, this Ahsoka video was trash talking Ahsoka and Star Wars, no evidence, and at this point, in writing, I had to write down that I think the guy is literally like really, really drunk when watching these videos, and he's, you know, at least buzzed when he's doing the recordings, because, like, man, you gotta be that drunk, that delusional, or basically being that disingenuous to be given these kind of takes on these videos and these movies and different projects. It's really sad, man. But let's move on to the last two. The absolute state of Star Wars. The Bob the Builder thing, being a director, that got me. Good job on that one. But again, you act like Lucas wasn't a political activist. Like, it's not hard to figure that out. You can go look that up easily. You're right about legacy characters. I ain't gonna lie. They've been fucking them up left and right. And so you're 100% correct. But, you know, basically, trash talk Star Wars, besides Luke and sequel trilogy, you provide no evidence, and you espouse your anti-fan rhetoric. But on to the last one. D&D subverted my expectations. Definitely agree. Forget those original D&D movies. They were trash. Trust me, no one in the D&D community was proud of them. The Skyrim slip of Winterfell over Neverwinter, that, I get it. I've done it. And, you know, basically, though, you were pretty honest. We disagree on minor things, but I'm an actual D&D fan. So, you know, it makes sense. We're going to disagree. But, you know, overall, I'd have to say that I do believe you were either dishonest, delusional, blind, or too drunk when watching what you review to give honest takes. And hey, look, it's obviously making you a living, you're doing fine, but fact of the matter is, you either got an alcohol problem, you are completely dishonest, or whatever. And, you know, I actually wish you well, but you seem to have your head on pretty straight when you're making these videos. So just hope you can sleep well at night with the amount of BS you espouse. Yeah, your videos are basically just 10-15 minutes of trash talk. You never give really any examples or evidence. They're full of anti-fan rhetoric. You claim woke and MCU before release on projects, and you're not worth subbing to at all. So, long story short, you don't piss me off. You bother me. You show how many people are willing to believe your bullshit, as well as you also seriously have found a way to get people to sub to you, to hear you trash talk, shit talk, and make up stuff. It also seems very similar to, if you compare a grouping of channels, it's very similar to yours, soon to be all ones I cover into content call-out over time. But if you check all those numbers and you look them up and you add them, it's amazing how similar that is to the amount of lost subscriptions for Disney Plus and the losses in ticket sales. But hey, till next time, next content call out. Catch you later.